Hi everyone and welcome to Valley View Living. My name is Megan. I'm a mum of 6 kids living in New South Wales, Australia. Hope you're doing well today. This is my day's diary of what I fed my large family today. So we started off this morning with fresh fruit. I cut up some oranges and some apples, and straight after that I gave that to the hungry crew, and straight after that I got straight into baking. So I made some grain-free muffins for breakfast/second breakfast this morning, and these are the recipe that I've shared on my videos previously, but I will leave it again down below. And this time, actually, instead of the maple syrup, I have subbed in coconut sugar. This is really enjoyable. The sugar is delicious. It has like caramel style flavor and color, which means if you want to make something really light and vanilla looking with this sugar, it's not the best choice. It does come out that gorgeous caramel shade. So with these muffins, I also added some choc chips. We had a bit of a treat for breakfast on this day, and they turned out light and fluffy and really delicious, but also pretty filling. So how are you? It's autumn here in Australia at the time that I'm filming this, and I'm really enjoying it. The intensity of the summer, especially when you're living on a farm with all of the jobs that need to be done, the lack of rain, which is pretty typical for a lot of parts of Australia, and then the flies. We live around several dairy farms, and the flies here are absolutely intense. Really difficult to keep them out of the house over the summer months. So I enjoy when that intensity ends and the weather starts to just calm down, cool down. You can sleep much easier overnight, and as it gets cooler, then look forward to getting the fireplace going and having those cozy days inside. I definitely aim to keep the cupboard well stocked with all kinds of baking goods. So even when you feel like you're running out of fresh food, it's getting close to shopping day again, it feels like I can pull something together that will be a crowd pleaser and fill up my kids' tummies and just tide them over, without much effort involved. And it's always so tasty. So these turned out well. I don't have choc chips in the house all that often because, I just can't trust myself. I love chocolate, and if I've got a big amount of choc chips in the house, like those big, Costco bags or 1 or 2 kilos or something like that, I cannot be trusted around this kind of thing. I will eat the chocolate. So when I'm talking about having a stocked cupboard or a stocked pantry, I'm talking about things like having plenty of wheat flour. Alternative flours like cassava flour and almond meal are things that I use here very regularly. Sweeteners like maple syrup, sugar, coconut sugar is great. Rapadura is another option. What else? Butter, definitely. Well, that's not a pantry staple, is it? It's for the fridge, but I always keep plenty of butter in stock as well. I'm just trying to think of other things that I like to have around. Definitely herbs and spices. And yeah, that's about it for my baking goods, I think. So here I've decided to make some pizza scrolls for lunch today. This was a bit of a Friday treat. On our Fridays, we usually go to do some fun things. So it's Friday fun day, okay? We've done school all week, we've been productive at home, we've done all that stuff. And then on Friday, we like to do something a bit out of the ordinary. On this Friday, we're still recovering from our flu that seemed to drag on forever. It's just like that in a large family. One person goes down with it first, they're sick, and then it just trickles on through the kids and eventually onto the parents, and the whole thing just takes weeks and feels like it drags on. But anyway, on this Friday, to make it a little more fun, I made some pizza scrolls, and they were well received too. This is something I don't make very often, but I really feel like I should. It was pretty frugal. It was pretty quick, pretty simple. Basically, the base is just a scone dough, or I think in America it would be called a biscuit dough. So we call them scones here, but I believe they're pretty much the same thing. So it's like a flaky, light, buttery pastry dough. And I've just used the mixer to make that, but of course you don't have to. This is one of the most simple things to pull together with your hands, just flour, butter, and milk. And this is something that works so well with these. You don't need egg for this recipe, and I do love that. As long as your pantry is well stocked, you can make this anytime. So then you just spread out the scone dough and brush it with pizza sauce, any kind of pizza sauce that you enjoy. And then your toppings. So I've done different sections with different toppings for different kids' preferences. So the first one I think was just plain cheese with some tinned pineapple and some basil leaves that we had growing in the garden. And then for the rest I've done some salami, leftover salami from the fridge, and some cheese as well. So you just sprinkle your toppings over the top there. And this also is good without the pizza sauce. So if you have people who preference that, you can just omit the pizza sauce. Maybe you could brush a little butter over the dough, but it wouldn't be necessary. Just cheese would be nice, maybe some garlic in there for flavor, or anything that you enjoy. So yeah, we've made this into kind of a pizza today. Once you've got the toppings on there, you want to very carefully roll your pizza scroll dough up into a long log. So use both your hands and just go really slowly and just roll that in onto itself. And then you want to take a sharp knife and slice it into pizza scrolls, well, just a few centimeters thick. Use your judgment for what will be good to eat and how many people you have to serve. And you slice that into your scrolls, place them on an oven tray, and just bake until they're really golden brown and look delicious. And these really are a good, I was going to say a good return on investment because they don't take much in the terms of ingredients, and they don't take that much in terms of time and effort and energy. But when you eat them, they really are just tasty and moreish. So this is definitely a nice lunch or dinner to keep up your sleeve for those days when you're not sure what to have. And these would make excellent lunchbox fillers as well. So you could make a whole tray or even double your recipe, bake them and let them cool. You could freeze them individually, or you could just store them, maybe in individual bags in the fridge until it is that day that you need them, and pop them in the lunchbox. They would last a few days at least, I'd imagine. So just speaking about the seasonal change, I really find that as the year winds down into autumn and winter, it feels like such a relief. I don't know if this is really more prevalent, that feeling in Australia, because we have such harsh summers here. It's not unusual, for summers to be regularly above 30 degrees, and the days just feel like they go on forever. So the sun won't go down here until maybe 9 o'clock at night, and then it's rising again between 5 and 6 a.m. So while that does give you so much daylight to get jobs done, it honestly feels like quite exhausting when you have young children who find it hard to sleep during the hot and bright times. So yeah, as we head into autumn and winter, it really feels like that the natural feeling of more rest is being built into each day, simply because the sun goes down earlier and you can have your day. You don't need such a break in the afternoons from work because you can just keep going through until it starts to get naturally dark, 5 or 6 p.m. at night, and then you can have a reasonable bedtime for the kids quite easily. 7 or 8 o'clock, everybody's tired and ready for bed. And by that break in the afternoon, I mean on those long summer days, it just gets so hot after lunchtime. Between, say, 1 and 4 p.m. can be the peak summer days. It's so hot outside. It's impossible to really get much work done anyway. So you need to block out that time, either doing something inside, or when it comes to little kids, because they're staying up so late and getting up so early, you just find you really need that rest every day in the summer. That's something I like the change of in autumn. It's just every day feels more relaxed, quieter, more calm. And of course the wood fire. That is a wonderful thing to enjoy. So here I'm sharing with you the dinner that we had. This was a simple but really delicious and nourishing dinner that I wish I would make more often, but it just seems to be a matter of all those ingredients and everything I have in the home coming together at the right time. So it's got some leftovers in it, and I have to have a chicken broth going on the stove for this one. I'll explain what it is first, hey? So here I'm just making an omelette. It's like a Chinese style omelette, fried up in some oil. It's just beaten eggs. You can season it with soy sauce or tamari, but this one I've just left plain with a sprinkle of sea salt. So I'm making this omelette to serve on top of a dish of rice with chicken broth, and then we'll add spring onions, and we also had some leftover cooked beef mince in the fridge from another dish. So we used that in with the rice, and I didn't even reheat the beef mince. I actually just reheated it by pouring that piping hot chicken broth over the top, and everything turned out really well. So this is another one of those dishes that is so easy to customize to what your family prefers or what each child prefers, and adults can add, hot sliced chilies or flavors that they enjoy. So this is a child's bowl that I'm serving here. This is just white rice. A nice way to cook this is to saute it in butter just for 10 minutes, cook it down a little bit, and then pour over. You can actually cook it with chicken broth or chicken stock instead of water, or just put your water on top, bring to a boil, let it simmer for 5 minutes, turn off, and it comes out totally fluffy and delicious. And here is the chicken broth I'm just pouring over the top. And you'll see here that I'm just picking out, this is onion that has cooked in the broth. If this bowl was for me, I would totally just eat it, really yummy. But because this is a child's bowl, they will be picky over that. So they've got some beef mince in there, some rice and some chicken broth, and they're just going to have a little bit of the omelette as well. So thanks so much for joining me today as I go about my homemaking day. I really do enjoy having the company here, and knowing that other people are watching along is a wonderful thing. I hope to see you next time. If you've enjoyed any of this content, please feel free to like, comment or subscribe. Share it around and let people know that I'm here. I really appreciate it. I will see you next time. Bye.